HG Revived Zaku is a fantastic kit for snap building. A simple kit with great articulation, you can play with it a lot and have a ton of fun. The painting experience, well, is not the greatest. The tubes are all soft plastic and you can't get your paint onto them well, so I had to buy metal replacement parts. Installing them is no fun. Drilling holes, gluing copper wires, getting each metal part onto the spring. By the way, these metal parts costing me about 2/3 of the kit's original price. That is not a negligible cost. I painted the kit with this desert feeling color scheme. Did some highlighting, you can see the very subtle shadows liked the result. I disassembled the body parts for easier weathering and already scratched some paint on the chest here. Then I did chipping first, used the acrylic paint from Mr. Hobby with a wet palette. Some of these Mr. Hobby acrylic require strong stirring. Shaking them won't get the paint mixed. I have not yet used any other brand's acrylic before. After these, I may try Tamiya or Vallejo. The first layer of superficial chipping should be a color lighter than the outer paint. I mixed this middle stone with some white. Used a brush to do the chipping on the outlines, where the scratches happens a lot. My hands are not steady enough for fine chipping, so I decided to try the sponge method. Get a little piece of sponge, use a clamp to hold it in place, get some paint onto it, unload most of them on a paper, then gently tapping the parts. I experimented on an extra part from the Stormbringer. Was not too happy with the result, so I thought of something else, use a toothpick to do the actual chipping. I generously dabbed the surface with my brush, then used a toothpick to scratch most of them off. The chipping result is very refined, but it is very time consuming. I ended up using a mix of sponge and toothpick techniques. Now you may have noticed all the tubes on this Zaku are still brand new and shining. Time to address that. Spraying them require disassembly and I just don't want to mess with those springs again. Picked a brown color and brush painted it. Gonna give the whole suit a wash later, so not really worrying about the quality of this paint job. The second layer of chipping is this dark metal underneath, so a mix of black and white, mostly white. It's pretty clear that my hands are shaky AF. Not that big of a problem when painting the superficial chipping, but with the dark steel chipping where every dab should be within the area of the first layer, it's kind of a problem. Here, for everyone who has a shaky hand, my solution. Don't use your left hand or right hand to hold the part. Place it onto a stable platform. Here I used my panel lining fluid bottle, get the part there, used some blue tag to hold the part in place. Place your left thumb in the middle of your right hand. Hold it tight. My English is not really good, so just watch this clip and you know what do I mean here. Lean your arms onto the desk. This will minimize the shaking, works pretty good for me. Then I had a lot of small and refined dark steel chips. Next up, some rust stains. Using the rust effect fluid from Mr. Hobby, randomly dab some rust onto the dark steel chips. Random is the key word here. Don't dab too much, but even if you do, just wipe the excess away afterward. I think it's appropriate to explain how do I do my weathering a bit here. A lot of people want to have realistic looking models when they do weathering. The thing is, mobile suits are giant robots, ranging from 70 meters to 20 meters high. A lot of the weathering techniques used for armored vehicles, which are much larger in scale than Gunpla, don't make sense here. In early Universal Centuries, they are very expensive to make and get a lot of maintenance and care. If you want to have realistic looking Gunpla that is also very loyal to the original anime, your choices for the suit will become extremely limited. The reason I do my weathering is that I like how they look after doing so. Why are there so many random chipping? Why would there be so many stains? It doesn't make sense. Well, making sense is not my goal here. Looking good is. I really want to say this to all the builders struggling, constantly questioning themselves, asking whether if one weathering technique looks realistic or not. Listen to me, just forget about realism for once. Weather a kit as much as you like, and if you like the result, make more. If you don't like the result, change the way you do it in the next one. Getting a little off topic here, sorry about all that ranting. After the rust stains, I applied a gloss coat over it. Because I am going to do some washes with oil paints, and the oil paint can get the rust effect fluid diluted. The look of a weathered Zaku with gloss finish is quite interesting. For the wash, I mixed ochre, yellow and white together. Got this very sandy color. I am not very certain with the terminology here, correct me in the comment if I said something wrong. What I did is just getting them onto the surface and brush them down. Use a swab to get the paint off more. I don't want to do a too dramatic effect here. The last touch is mud, more specific dry mud effect fluid on the lower legs and feet. Since this is a desert color scheme, I don't expect much white mud on there, but I also think there will be mud because settlements will have normal earth and water. These suits probably go to those areas a lot. I only recorded the applying of mud by brush, also did some splashes but didn't record that. The final step is one layer of flat coat and it is done. Well, the main body is done. For the weapons, I just dry brushed a bit, using Star Bright Duralumin from Gaia. Tried graphite for a bit, didn't work out. Graphite can't hold onto the surface. Well, that's it. The whole suit done. The only thing I skipped is Hitox. Some gradient with orange and yellow, nothing too sophisticated. Overall, the result looks okay to me. Don't know how you feel about it. This is actually my first time doing weathering on a Gunpla. I want to try some battle scars using files and cutters in the next build. The next painting video is most likely gonna be the Stormbringer. Battle scarred and weathered, of course. Can't think of anything to say for now. So this is Senyo. See y'all in the next one. Peace.